Welcome everybody from the people, from the pulpit. I'm Stuart Salvatierra. I'm the associate pastor here at Lakeview, and you may notice we have a little bit of a change in cast today. Who's with me today is Pastor Linda. She is a retired United Methodist clergy person, and she was very gracious to help me today as Pastor Brandon's out of town. And so I've been telling her what we do here, and so she knows that she's going to be asking me some questions based on what I just prayed or what I just preached about. So, Linda, what's on your mind?
I was thinking about afflictions and growing in afflictions. I've seen it happen a lot. But what are some of the afflictions you think about that people have to go through that they're not prepared to face? I know there are a whole lot of them and they're individualized, but generally speaking.
I think that a lot of people don't prepare themselves for specifically afflictions that kind of impact the body.
Yeah.
Because there's not a way to know what's going to be affected in our body and when and how. Mm-hmm. I like the phrase that everybody is temporarily able-bodied. Mm-hmm. So like at any point, at any given time,
right,
things can change. And how do you prepare within your life for that to happen? And I'm not sure that you can, but I think that's one space where no matter who you are, that's something that I think almost everybody universally isn't able to prepare for as well.
Right, I think you're right about that, but I was thinking then also the Wesleyan means of grace and the growing that we can do, because I think, too often we forget. It's like we don't want to go to the gym and work out. That would be me. But we need to, and we don't work out spiritually either. And we need to on a daily basis. What are some of the things people could do to be prepared up front for whatever happens? And
so for that kind of spiritual workout kind of a thing, I think first and foremost what you can do is just be honest with yourself. Mm-hmm. Be honest with where you're at. Be honest with, where the relationships are in your lives, mm-hmm, how your relationship is with God. And don't try and leave things to the side. Mm-hmm. Because when that happens, you're not going to be able to bring the fullness of who you are before God. Mm-hmm. And if you're not able to bring the fullness of who you are before God, what's the point? We want to bring the whole of who we are before our Creator. And so I think that's one way that from a spiritual perspective, for those working those spiritual muscles, is first and foremost just being honest with where you're at, because that's always going to be changing, and as long as you know that, you're going to be in a better place to do other things. So different kinds of spiritual practices, I think, fall second under that, whether that's
right. Well,
prayer,
the buck stops here.
The buck stops with where your heart is.
Right, and it stops with us, and we need to look at us first and ask God for help there.
Absolutely. If we're not honest with ourselves, we can't ask for help. Mm-hmm. Because we're kind of saying, oh, well, I got it all covered. I'm good.
Right. Well, then we develop strength in that, and we want to, and maybe my experiences in those moments of real affliction and tragedy have been so bad that I've asked for help from God and received it, and it's always resulted in a sense of joy. And I feel like I want to share that joy with other people, but I don't know that we always do that. But if we wanted to share that, because I think that's what we're called to do, is to get closer to God and be able to share that joy of our God-driven lives, how are some of the ways that we can do that?
So what I'm hearing is how do we share the joy that we get in our lives?
Right. How do we without being
others?
Just a goody two shoes or whatever, just to share it with people we don't even know or may not even say more than hello to.
I'd say one of the best ways to share joy is to make sure that you are approaching anybody that you meet, anybody you're talking to, from a place of grace and understanding, because you don't necessarily know what someone's experiencing. Mm-hmm. They could be having the best day in the world. They could be experiencing the most difficult thing in their life. Mm-hmm. And say, you run into them at the grocery store. Well, you're not going to have a queue. There's not like a little screen
No
above
sign
somebody
says
that
this
says,
is
"Hey, I'm
going
having
on."
a great day."
Yeah.
So treating everybody with grace and respect right from the get-go, I think, is one of the best ways to share joy. Because if you are doing that, you're validating the image of God within anybody that you meet. And when you're validating the image of God, you can't help but act from joy.
Right.
And hopefully, then you just pray that it's received in the ways that you are hoping.
Right. No, don't need to be over the top, but just sensitive to other people.
Yeah.
And not focused on yourself. You've already got joy. You don't need to pour it out on them, but just to reach out and be sensitive to where they are.
Exactly. Reach out to people with where they are at. And when you do that, the joy that you have in your life, it'll automatically come out. It'll just be a part of who
Right.
you are. It'll become just a part of the subtext of everything that you say. It'll just be this, kind of radiating energy from you. And really, if you try and be too intentional about just joy, you're right.
Yeah,
It will come over.
No, it just blows somebody
will come
away if
off
they're having a
over the
bad
top.
day, or just no. It's not that you take that joy and say thank you, and then share graciousness with other people. That's what you're saying.
Absolutely.
Yeah, sounds wonderful. Thank you for your answers.
I'm a big fan. Any more questions in the hopper there?
Well, I didn't know I needed more than two, but
I'm just asking.
on the other hand, I believe it's really important to be able to address people, everybody, in a way that's considerate of how they feel and what's going on with them, and to be sensitive. I mean, we can enjoy life in our relationship with God and keep it in the front of our minds rather than back there someplace. But it's not the same as then making sure that the other person has a lot to share with us. Have you ever had that experience where somebody had something to share with you that if you hadn't been a good listener, like as you are, that you would have missed the whole?
Well, that kind of thing definitely happens all the time.
Yeah.
Where if, like, say, if we're in too much of a hurry,
Yeah.
that I've got 30 seconds to be here and then another 2 minutes to be over there, and I can ignore somebody in the meantime, just walk right by them. There's nothing joyful being shared there, because you're just trying to meet some sort of other expectation or some other kind of
Right.
standard. And so I'd say making time for people,
Right.
it's
Somehow, if
infinitely valuable.
if you can if you share the kind of peace you have, which is part of joy, with other people, and be sensitive to where they are, it makes life a whole lot different for everybody.
It absolutely does. I fully agree. So, Linda, thank you for asking me a few questions today. Obviously, friends, you know that this is her first time doing that, so thank you.
Oh, thank you.
And Linda was very gracious, Pastor Linda was very gracious to help me today and serve alongside me. And so thank you for being here today.
My pleasure.
And my friends, as always, like, share, subscribe, get things out there. If you have questions, send them on in, because the worst thing that we could do is learn from each other. I hope you're having a great day, and it is full of blessings.